Hey, greetings and salutations. Do you see something wrong here? Besides the soft tire. She's riding way too low. Oh, for those of you who don't know, this is my 1969 Dodge Dart that this has been a project for over a decade. And yeah, I've done more in the last 3 months to this car than I've done in the last 12 years. And I need to re-index the torsion bars to give me a little more height, because right now my exhaust won't survive for very long. Looks like about 3 inches off the ground, and that's no good. Not to mention my mufflers are even lower. My tailpipes are dragging, for crying out loud. Look at this back end, man. But check this out, yeah. Oh, that's the sound of my exhaust bouncing off the ground. I got no shocks on this. And you know, I don't know if you noticed or not, but I'm trying to declutter, and although I've thrown a lot of stuff away, there's some things that I need to keep because this project isn't done and I have parts for this project. And there's also things that I don't want to get rid of, but I don't necessarily need. And it's just taking up, you know, shelf space and collecting dust. So I filled the trunk. Yeah. So it needs shocks, and I need to raise this thing up because those springs just ain't doing it anymore. So I went and I bought something. Nope. That ain't it. Here it is. Oh, by the way, probably a good idea to get yourself some of those, you know. Better to be safe. Sorry, I guess. What do you think is in there? Come on. Well, that's a bad sign. Jesus. Hardwares. Ooh. Boy, I don't know about you, but I just had a little bit of a throwback. It is Thursday, Throwback Thursday. A throwback to my youth. Monroe-matic air shocks. So that will do a couple of things. It will provide a little shock absorption and give me a little height. So maybe I can get this thing off the ground. I have shocks on the front, and they're just a regular, you know, factory style shock, and I'm not replacing those right now. I'm gonna put air shocks on this, and then I think I'm gonna jack this thing up and re-index those, like I said, re-index those torsion bars, and see if I can't get a little more height out of the front end, because I gotta have a little more than that much clearance. It's Dodge Dart, it's not a Lamborghini, for crying out loud. Air shocks. Alright, so if you're unfamiliar or you're young and you've never seen anything like this is an air shock. And basically you have a shock absorber with an air bladder. And this can be pumped up to increase the load carrying capabilities of the back end of your vehicle. We used them back in the day to jack the back of the car up. That's how we did it out there in the Rust Belt in the late 70s and 80s. The back of the cars were all jacked up. You had big fat tires in the back, itty bitty skinnies in front, and you had it raked out something like that. I'm not going to go to that extreme, but like I mentioned, I got a lot of shit in the trunk. So I need to get the back ends dragging, and I don't want to add a spring at this point. Or ultimately, what I'd like to do is put a 3-link into this thing, but that's later. So I got one of these shocks on. I'll put this one on. This particular one is vehicle specific, at least to the Chrysler family of this generation. It comes with plastic tees. This stuff all used to be brass, but that was in a bygone era. All this is the Schrader valve. This is where you'd fill the air shocks from. You've got a T, different wire hangers or hose hangers. And I've got the hose out here laying on the hood in the sun in an attempt to soften it a bit so it's a little more pliable. So I'm going to crawl underneath the car and put this in. Well, I don't see any existing holes where I could pop these little clips into the frame rail, if you want to call it a frame rail. And I'm not going to go start drilling holes in the body. So I'm going to use zip ties to put this on. And here's what I got. I got a plastic T, and inside this T, put that through the back like that. Inside this T is an O-ring. See? And that goes in the hole. And then you just snug that down. You gotta make sure there's an O-ring in there. If you don't, it's gonna leak. Okay. Now, to cut this, I would recommend a guillotine style cutter. This is a cheap one that came with the old airline kit that I got for the garage. And I use this to cut 1/2-inch pecs as well. But I'll put a link in the description to an inexpensive guillotine style hose cutter, if you're so inclined. Now I'll mount this between the shocks, and I'll run a single line up to the license plate where I'll put the Schrader valve, wherever the hell I have that at. But let's start mounting this. Yeah. I believe it best. The shocks already have the O-ring in it, but I would remove the O-ring and install it on the hose, and then put the hose and everything up onto the shock. Well, I'm not telling you what to do. You do what you want. There we go. But that's how to install air shocks on your car. It's as easy as installing regular shocks. You just got to run a couple air lines and drill a hole someplace where you can put a Schrader valve. Hey, today I'm going to attempt to get this bar right here out of here. That's a torsion bar. That's the spring, just a torsion spring. And it goes into a keyed hex on the lower control arm there. And then back by the transmission cross member, there's another keyed hex that's fixed to the bed. I need to pull this off because I need to re-index this so that I have a little more suspension travel, because right now it's sitting pretty low. So I'm going to show you how to pull this out. It's not that easy. I mean, it's not difficult, it's not hard, it's just, it's not very easy, because especially if you live someplace that's got a lot of dirt or rust, You might be better off just cutting it off and getting new ones. What you need to do is get the suspension unloaded and have the front end in complete droop. And then right under here, there's a bolt. All right, this is the lower control arm, and this is that bolt I'm telling you about. This bolt goes into this. You probably can't see it because this is right in the way, but there's a piece of metal that is engaging this lower control arm that this gets threaded into. And then that pushes against a, I don't know what you'd call it, a tensioner that's attached to this piece here. That bolt pushes against that. It creates tension on the torsion bar, and that's what gives you your spring. Basically, it's just a hardened bar that's twisted, and that's your spring. So the first thing I need to do is I need to back this all the way off so that there's no tension on this at all. And then there's a clip, this clip right here. In fact, I can take that out right now, I think. This clip is what keeps the torsion bar into this keyway. So you pull this clip out. Once you pull the clip out of here, the dust boot can get taken off and pushed to the side. Now, once that's all done and you've got this thing completely unloaded, this bar needs to go that way, and that's where it gets difficult. Let me show you how I've done it. First things first, that's got to come off. Looks like a 3/4. Ouch. Now, what I'm going to attempt to do is take a pair of vice grips. This is probably not the recommended procedure. But I'm going to try to find some place along this torsion bar here to clamp this on here and still have enough room to hit it with a hammer to try to force it out the back side. This is how I got it off last time. There we go. So this is where this came out from, right? So this is where it was indexed. And what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to pull everything off like I said before, just to loosen everything up so I can swing this down and get this flat to line up with this on the torsion bar. So that means we need to take this nut and bolt off. Take this bolt and the one that's over here so I can pull the upper control arm off, and then I can swing all this down and reattach it here and then push it back up, and it'll be keyed one more. I'll have one more flat of spring tension. Hopefully I only need to do this once, because this will suck if I have to do this all over again. This is no fun. So once you got that one side done, go ahead and duplicate the process on the other. Don't forget to put the retaining clip back at the rear where the cross member is at. Potentially that spring could slip out. You don't want that to happen. That would be bad. So I'll work on the other side tonight, and then tomorrow I'll work on setting the ride height. See you tomorrow. Oh, that wasn't easy. I tell you what. Next shop I want to have a lift, because I'm getting too old, too fat to be crawling around on the garage floor like a slug. Yeah, the driver's side didn't index too bad, but the passenger side again. Well, there's the torsion bar. You see it down there. There's the dust boot. But you can see I got that, I don't know if you can see that or not down there. A little wooden wedge that I got there crammed against the frame rail and the header. To shove that out of the way, I needed about 1/8 of an inch to be able to get that thing to key into the lower control arm. It's not rubbing on it, it's just to get it in, and you know, because you got to get both the rear and the front keyed at the same time. And just suffice it to say, it sucked. So I didn't film any of it, and if I would have, I wouldn't be able to put it in the video anyway, because I would definitely gotten demonetized. Look at the ride height now. That's a whole lot better. Hey, and if I put a little air in that tire, I might gain another inch of ride height. What's that do? Now let's see how much. Oh. Now I got about, well, that flashlight's about, I don't know, 4 inches. I got about 4 inches of clearance there. And if I loosen that ball and socket, I can move that up a little bit. Yeah. And those pipes, those tailpipes are just sitting in there. I don't have them. They're just tacked together. Just so you're clear on how I adjusted the front ride height. Right there. That's the torsion bar. And it keys into that hex right there. That's the lower control arm. And then there's a cam. You see the hole in the center of the control arm with that little piece of metal sticking out of it. So we gotta reach it. That bit right there. There's a bolt. You can't see the bolt because it's up inside the control arm now. There's a bolt that goes up through here. It threads through this and pushes on this cam right here, and that applies spring pressure. Twist this clockwise, and on the other side it would be counterclockwise. And this torsion bar is what holds the suspension up. If you run this bolt out, you will lower the front end of the car. If you drive it in further, you'll raise the front end of the car up. Obviously the spring rate changes, and your ride will vary accordingly. But right now it looks like I got about an inch off the bump stop. It's probably still not at the right height, but with this size tire, I think this is just one. This is a 205, and I think the tires that came on this are one size bigger. Of course, the tires that came on this in 1969 were bias ply. Air shocks, torsion spring adjustment, and now my exhaust isn't dragging on the ground. When the whole goal was to get this thing in primer so that I can put it outside if I want to. The only thing I need to purchase to make this absolutely weatherproof is the inner and outer window sweeps, and then this thing could sit outside for all I care. But eventually, just get parked in the trailer. That's why I'm working on the trailer. So that's all I got for today. It only took, you know, how long the video is going to be, because I haven't edited it yet. But, you know, this whole project didn't take a whole lot of time, but it took many days. So if you found this video informative and entertaining, smash that like button, share it with your vast social media network. I'd appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed yet, click the subscribe button and the little bell icon. That way you get post notifications. If you want to support the channel, you can throw me a couple bucks through PayPal. You can support the channel through Patreon on a monthly basis. But if you shop on Amazon, the easiest thing to do is just shop on Amazon. Go through one of the Amazon affiliate links you see in the description. Doesn't cost you anything extra. Channel gets a little bit of commission, and maybe Daddy can get a new exhaust system. So until next time, you have fun, stay safe, shoot straight, keep powder dry, Have a splendid day. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Crazy mountains. Well, since the sun is already set, maybe I'll throw you up here and you watch the light climb the mountain. Close this video up.